Welcome back, everyone, to LJL, officially unofficial, stepping in for Middle Cup for these last two games of the regular season alongside Master One again, of course, is working hard, just like Middle Cup is now behind the scenes. Swan, I was watching that previous game. I was hoping maybe we would see the first signs of V3 being stoppable, but apparently that's not to be the case.
No, that would be ridiculous. Heresy, some would even say. There is one true king, long live the king, and that king is V3 Esports for the moment. For the time being. Playoffs are here, so it's going to be important to see it, but the match in question for us here is the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks Gaming facing off against Burning Core.
All right, so yes, it's number 3 versus number 4, much as we saw number 1 versus number 2. You guys are talking about, we've got those top 2 spots locked in. Now it's going to be down to these names you see on your screen right now to try and determine who takes the number 3 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. What's also important to notice is that if Hawks win this one, they decisively get 3rd place. Now, if Burning Core win this one, they don't actually lock 3rd place because technically Detonation Focus Me can beat Sengoku Gaming and actually be at the same record as Burning Core. They have that head-to-head, so then they get leapfrogged and they'll take 4th instead. So still important spot for them to play for because Hawks could technically, with a loss here, fall 3 places down. Burning Core can only net game 1 or 2 depending on how this, can only net game 1 or stay neutral, and Detonation Focus Me have all to play for here in their next game, and they actually are kind of pulling for a Burning Core victory here. So much can happen in the standing just throughout this match, and what a mid lane matchup we have as well to get us started.
Yeah, Wasteland versus Creative. We did see Wasteland, of course, in the last day of play, managing to bust out that victor once again to predictable results. But Creative, as befits their name, they've been pretty varied as to what they've been bringing out.
Oh, we've seen so many different picks from just these 2 players. And someone like Creative, he has a Zed, Vladimir. He's also known for his Kassadin, but plays Azir. We've seen him play Yasuo and Cassiopeia. Like, this man, well and truly, is creative. There's just so many different kind of options and angles that they want to go with in the pick and ban phase. I'll be excited to see where they go. They're definitely the player that has a lot of counter pick given to them against their enemy. So I'm interested. I believe we just saw the sides there. So Burning Core are going to be on the red side. So that's definitely counter pick territory for Creative.
Yeah, and that's exactly where they want to be, because certainly based off of the day 4 results, things aren't looking necessarily amazing for Burning Core, because both of them faced off against Axis. And in one game, Axis dominated. In the other game, Axis got dominated. Burning Core were the ones who got dominated. And of course, the Hawks, for life, were the ones who dominated themselves. So if you just look at those 2 games in a vacuum, you're certainly going to favor the Hawks coming into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just use results-orientated thinking. But absolutely, we kind of have to a little bit because we have so little data. We don't have large sample sizes on these teams. So yeah, we do have to just look at what we've got in front of us. And currently, in trajectory territory, Burning Core, downward. Hawks, upward. Like,
we're doing the math.
These are just 2 players, 2 teams that are in very different territories. Burning Core, we were coming in with very high expectations. I was expecting very strong things. They should be a top 3 team for us. They haven't always looked it. They sometimes look like they can flip a coin and win anything, but at the same time, they could lose anything. Remember, this is the only team that beat Crest Gaming Act otherwise outside of V3 Esports. So this team can beat the best, but they can also roll over and lose to some of the worst.
I was going to say, so maybe I've got the wrong game here. I just got all kinds of confused, because there was the game that the Hawks had last game day against Crest Gaming, where they did lose that game in 28 minutes. So it wasn't a clean day 4 for them entirely. It was still a relatively even game, which ran to close to 30 minutes, but ultimately, I believe Crest taking the win there, but only by a very small amount.
Yeah, Crest Gaming Act did seem rather good in that matchup for them, but then Crest Gaming Act just secured 2nd place, so it's kind of to be expected that the team that looked rather good were able to do a one and done and close push, and that was a game that the Hawks were ahead in at the beginning part, but I believe we're getting pick and ban phase from Middle Cup.
All right, let's get into things. As you said, the Hawks in the blue, Burning Core over in the red. Another chance for a bigger shake up of the table. But of course, we know that the Hawks come into this one with a good amount of momentum. As you mentioned before, both of them having the very different results against Axis. But the Hawks definitely not an impenetrable squad either.
Yeah, and those bans come through. Wasteland's Victor getting taken away, the Samira for Howler, as well as Yoshi's Poppy and Creative's Yasuo. I wouldn't be too surprised if we see the Cassiopeia also get banned out here, just to keep targeting Creative, because he has got a champion Ocean, and you do want to put Wasteland in a more fortuitous spot than one that might be a bit more difficult for this star mid laner. But hey, no, they're going for Thresh. They're actually going for Peacock.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, certainly the bottom lane we should expect to be explosive. Howler, of course, setting the record for most kills in a single game back in day number 1, I think, and not being matched by anyone since then, as we do see the Rel ban. So that Rel Samira bottom lane banned out in its entirety by Burning Core.
Yeah, and there's a lot that's been left up. It's interesting. Hawks deciding to immediately go. Howler does want to keep playing his hyper carries, and it's been a kind of the direction that the Hawks have wanted to go in for most of their series. Put Howler, put Charlie on a hyper carry with a very strong, engaged, supportive bot laner, and then just allow Burning Core to try and figure out the options. Burning Core are going to take away the Leona, which is to be expected because that's something that Charlie has done a huge amount before. I wonder if they're going to decide to lock in probably their jungler here, like a Xin Zhao or Viego, because it's open.
Yeah, Floor and Anko Chan, both relatively similar performances to each other, and it looks like they might both be getting high impact junglers here. Of course, Viego very, very strong. Lee Sin, of course, hanging around in the Academy League with great impact for a long time. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see it locked in.
Oh, it's one of the most played champions, I think, in all of Academy, with one of the higher presence rates outside of that Leona that's already been picked up. If it's not picked up here, I would be surprised. Now I'm expecting the support to now get locked in for the side of the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks Gaming. Capital Gaming, Capital Hawks, obviously, because Hawks for life. I just remember that was something I recently learned, so I'm always like, oh yeah, the Hawks is always fully capitalized, because it is shouted at you, because they are the Hawks. Alistair is going to be locked in pretty good at disengage with the pulverized knock-up. You can definitely set Aphelios up in a pretty nice way. It also works rather well if we do want to play Yasuo. Can't do that. Hawks already banned it. You can't go for the Yasuo yourself. And Kabuff and Yellow Yoshi, it's actually been identical. These two teams actually mirroring each other in the drafting phase and don't want to give anything extra out.
We certainly saw how impressive that Varus can be in the correct hands before as we head into the second pick and ban. Top lane, of course, we haven't talked about too much. Ricky against Yellow Yoshi. Very different results for those top lanes against Axis. And that's a top lane ban of the Lilia that Ricky brought out against Axis, coming in right now from Burning Core.
I love that, and that was honestly a pick that I was like very excited to see. He had an MVP caliber performance in that match from them, and single-handedly changed one of the team fights. Then we're getting a top lane, mid lane ban because both Yellow Yoshi and Creative played this Silas. It's one of the weirder ones, but we're in Academy. Like, some of these players have random picks that are just super preferable. They're like playing them a lot. Camille, that's another one for both these two top laners. So pools are going to slowly start being your third or fourth pick. What are you more comfortable on a spot to be doing? Also, some is going to be the case.
Alright, so we've got that second ban. So it's mid lane again.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry. That looks like someone having a little bit of mark trouble there, but hopefully that'll figure itself out. As we've got Kennen coming back in. We've certainly seen some very impressive Kennen so far in the Academy, and that's a big responsibility being put onto Yoshi's shoulders.
I think I'm back now. Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello, sir. Yes, so they're going to blind pick that top lane champion. The Kassadin was banned, which is a little bit surprising from Creative because it isn't a flex ban, which we had seen from the first 3 bans here. But it is going to be that Kennen picked up on the top side. Howler is, Wasteland is going to be playing this Orianna blind, so I imagine we might get probably the mid lane control mage mirror match, which nothing happens for ages. So hey, that's a pretty good way of nullifying it if you're gonna have to blind pick. What do you want, Ricky, to counter pick? You're gonna go for your Na, are you? All right. Well, it's one of your most played champions in Academy, so that seems rather fair, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's going to be the pick that Yellow Yoshi struggled with mightily against Axis Academy before. So perhaps Ricky looking to deliver some education as we look to our final pick from Burning Core. What are they going to bring out to go up against the Orianna?
I mean, there's a few options here for creative. Obviously, he's got a Champion Ocean. The Cassiopeia is something that he can scale and try and outscale an Orianna. It doesn't give the team fight ability. Oh, okay, that's Diana mid, right? There's no way this Diana goes jungle. Wait, what is...
What the deuce?
You know what, I'm just gonna let them figure out where they want things to go. Diana is far better in the jungle at the moment than anything else, but, okay, so it's gonna be Veigo mid versus an Orianna. It's better than Diana mid at the moment because her Q just doesn't have the kind of ability to clear waves that it used to have ever since the nerfs came out and they tried to make Diana more of a jungler than a mid laner. So the recent nerfs that Diana has got, it's just the direction they're going with. We are seeing a new champion though from creative in this mid lane. It is going to be this Viego, and I just was not expecting this kind of pivot halfway through the actually at the very end of the draft for Burning Core.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. As we said, Burning Core come into this one very much as underdogs, so it's their chance to try and better their position. Of course, as these, final positions slot into place for our teams, we can get a much better idea of who they're going to be playing in the first playoff round, starting in just a couple of days' time. It will be a full day of play, but right now, it is just these two teams against each other. Ricky against Yoshi in the top lane. Certainly seems like that's one of the places where the biggest potential gap lies.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Aiko-chan and Flora going to be targeting that. And we're going to get some roams from Charlie and Pekot because that's where all the action is probably going to be happening. Howler and Akabuff are going to probably just farm AFK. I'm really interested and excited to see how Creative does do on this Viego because Viego is not a champion we're seeing a huge amount of in lanes anymore because of the recent changes that came out and the nerfs that came out. So we'll see how he does. It doesn't mean, obviously, that Viego can't be played. And hey, this is creative. This is one of the mid laners who definitely likes to go for fights, likes to go for style points. So I'm okay with seeing this. It's just, how effective is it going to be?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Creative's results have definitely been a lot more in the middle there. They've got a 3.3 KDA right now. So it goes well sometimes. It goes less well some other times. But Akabuff down in the bottom lane, that's the player you've got to rely on most. Almost a 6 KDA so far. They have been spectacular. And I think, honestly, if Burning Core are going to win out of anywhere, it's got to be from a second strong Varus performance.
Absolutely. And they are going against Howler, who is even more mercurial than anybody else. They have only really played hyper carries throughout this whole event so far. 2 games of Samira, 2 games of Viego, Aphelios rather, a game of Ezreal and a game of Varus. Can you say hyper carries? Can you say I want to play for 30 minutes, please, sir? Thank you, sir. Though their KDA is only 3.4. So Akabuff's is 6, as you already mentioned. That sounds great, right? That sounds pretty good. It's 4th in the league at the moment, so it's not a great place. And there are definitely some other AD carries who are having MVP-worthy performances where they rarely ever die and don't get themselves in particularly bad spots. I mean, the pretty obvious one is Marble and Primo, because 37.5 KDA for Marble, 15 for Primo. There's a reason they're the top 2 AD carries, and that these two are prospect talents that are looking to make a mark of their own.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's very hard to exist in a league where, I mean, you mentioned Marble, taking their second death, halving that KDA from before. They still came into the day with, I think, a KDA in the 30s. So there's some very big shoes to step into. But let's start up our penultimate game of the regular season here in Academy. The Hawks versus Burning Core.
And I do slightly favor the Hawks. I do side with you. I think it is Hawks for life in this one, because if you just look at the front to back team fight, Hawks are playing something we've been seeing in just everywhere and anywhere till Sunday territory. Whereas on the opposite side for Burning Core, a lot more needs to go their direction. They have not got the easiest team fight composition to engage on. A lot of this stuff does come down to them kind of playing it really well and cleanly. For the Hawks, some of this stuff is point and click, especially when you just put a ball on, like if Wasteland puts the ball on Alistair, all they need to do is create, Alistair needs to go in, knock him up, done. That's it. It's just that simple. Aphelios, when more than 2 people have been shockwaved, you throw the Aphelios ultimate out. You're guaranteed to do something pretty good. And Blitzcrank Chan does agree with both of us.
Yes, it's hard to make the argument otherwise, but of course, as much as I am, as we all should be, a Hawk for life, I'm intrigued to see what Burning Core got for us here. I mean, you mentioned top lane, definitely the big disparity down there, but we didn't talk as much maybe as we should have about Wasteland. If we're talking about Akabuff as the absolute pillar for Burning Core, Wasteland has been the same there also, with hugely impressive stats and incredibly consistent performance for the Hawks.
They absolutely are the anchor. It's why that Victor was first rotation banned by the side of Burning Core, because they're like, yeah, this guy on Victor is just a monster. He's an absolute machine. He finds ways of controlling terrain that just other mid laners don't find. And if you look in this mid lane matchup, I would argue that Wasteland is just favored. They have a higher DPM on average. They are far higher percentage of their damage in most of their games. They just always find opportunities to affect multiple lanes, which is something that Creative does do. I just don't feel like he's as effective at doing it.
Wasteland, sensing there's trouble coming, might be forced to burn the flash, and will do, as Floor flashes after them. So it's a trade of flash for flash, but Creative holds onto theirs.
Yeah, and that's a jungler flash, so it means far less than what a mid laner flash is equal to, because, I mean, Floor just needs to find one more QE, and it doesn't matter. Like, Diana is very good at going for an early gank and then going, okay, well, I'll come back in like 3 minutes, I'll get a few levels, it's fine, I'll just come back around. I didn't lose anything, and the pathing hasn't really been affected too much, because I can just continue going through the kind of the motions that I was already in place to do. Though there is that timer, and we do need to see them punish it, because if Wasteland has had this in the past, they get punished, they just play a safe laning phase, and then they never get that punish. So we'll have to see. Anko-chan will also be aware of this, and we definitely know Anko-chan will always go for an invade when it's opportunistic to do so.
Certainly not Lee Sin, there's a lot of opportunity to do that, as Floor is trying to make up some ground, farming it for themselves. So let's talk about the game overall here. We're 4 minutes in, no kills, pretty much even across the board.
Yep.
What are the objectives for both the teams in this early going?
I mean, at the moment, it's just try and find these small advantages around the map. The thing for the Hawks is they definitely need to get 1 to 2 items onto Howler in this bot side, but Floor's already coming down.
Yeah, Howler being drawn in for the fight. They have to give up Charlie their support. To first blood for Burning Core at 4 minutes. There we go, we ask and we shall receive.
Yeah, and that was mild Fleet Block, mild the fact that Charlie was just playing a bit too far up and that they couldn't actually find any options that were convenient for them, because how would they? Realistically, honestly, how would they find any options like that? And they didn't. They paid with their life, and Charlie probably could have flashed, but I think when he saw that Floor was already there, it was all the writing on the wall as we come into this replay, and this is just Peacock actually putting themselves in a very convenient spot.
Yeah, we can see there, I think exactly as you're right there. We do see the saddest Alistair, just resigned to their fate, seeing Floor coming in. And this is amazing news if you're a Burning Core fan, because the Akabuff, the center point of their team, getting that kill there means that they can now leap ahead. They've got their first couple of components in inventory, and hopefully for Burning Core, this bottom lane will start to snowball.
Yeah, and this, remember, is what the side of Burning Core need. A win here doesn't really change for... A win here allows them to have a head-to-head versus the Hawks, which means they guarantee third, and then they're looking at they're looking at Donation Focus Me going, you have to win here versus Sengoku to take that third place spot. If you don't, if Sengoku win, and Sengoku are incentivized to try and get those points, try and get that momentum going for playoffs in a few days. So they definitely also want to win, just like Rascal Jester. So there is important stuff on the line. And also, if a win here for Burning Core means they also could get side selection, or they might even dodge playing the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks Gaming in playoffs. They might just be on the opposite side of the bracket. So everybody here knows there's a lot to play from on the line, and a first blood like that on your Akabuff, one of your anchors, it changes everything. Oh, shoot, Shockwave though.
Yeah, you can see that Wasteland's be putting the pressure down on Creative in that mid lane to build up the CS advantage they got right now, and they're forcing a recall. The Creative does have the TP to get back to lane. Just a...
Yeah, absolutely, and this is what they're going to do. They're just going to force this wave out, actually teleport aggressively back, and what this allows them to do is Wasteland will just be allowed to walk back to lane because of that, and that's just simple.
Aggressive play down on the bottom side. Akabuff going to get chunked down to half health again as Howler is hungry for more kills. But across the wall comes Floor. Let's go for round 2 in the bottom lane. 3v2. Peacock is almost is not going to get good enough. Nice knock away from Charlie. But Howler is going to get jumped and be forced to flash to follow up. But it means Charlie gets the kill. TB's coming in en masse from the Hawks. They're not done with this fight. Peacock is down low on health. But Kennen comes into the back of the fight, though, and disrupts the Hawks' play. You're going to have to try and fall back as Creative grabs the kill. Wasteland is very low and drops the Viego reset town. Has arrived, and it's going to be disaster for the Hawks.
It looks so good at moments for the Hawks, and then Hawks for life. Well, they need to become a Phoenix. I think they might even want to steal V3's logo at this point in time and become a Phoenix rising from the ashes, because Viego and Vape Nation are here, and it started really good for the side of the Hawks. They were winning a 2v2 exchange. Howler gets taken so low, multiple chains of CC coming out from this Aphelios Alistair combo, and Floor is like, hey, I'm gonna try and make up for this. They see them so late. The problem is, it's basically a 2v1 scenario for Floor here. It's really unfortunate. Huge amount of damage. The Chakram's putting out God's work, really, for this Aphelios. The problem is, the TPs come in for the side of Hawks, and they're like, okay, this looks really good. It's a bit late. They actually need to be doing this the moment that Floor came in. And yes, we know Floor died in the 1v2, as I've called it. But if they were all there a lot earlier, it would have dissuaded the side of Burning Core from coming in and potentially have actually allowed them to capitalize and get more kills for themselves. It didn't work out, and that's a huge net win for Burning Core, who also secured the Dragon earlier on in this game, and probably want to look for the next one as well later.
Swan, help me understand this, because it feels like Howler and Charlie in the bottom lane. Oh, hold the phone, actually. We'll come back to that in a second, because Creative and Floor going to have a brawl here as well. Wasteland, nice double catch there with the Shockwave, but it's still on the wrong side of the tracks. Does get the kill, able to escape out. So that's some good news in for the Hawks. It does not erase what just happened in the bottom lane, though.
No, it doesn't at all. It helps. And there was a mild thing. They are going to be able to proc this Rift Herald here and get a bunch of turret plates. If they can get enough here, it will definitely assist and maybe even nullify some of this advantage that Burning Core did get in that bot lane play.
Yeah, certainly the Hawks, they're ahead in gold right now, but to come back to the previous point, because I think we won't at least see the tower going down, it feels like Howler and Charlie have been trying to push, the Hawks' advantage in the bottom lane, but have done exactly the opposite. They've opened the door for Akabuff to be a major player.
And that's not kind of how this should have gone. They should have kept forcing, they should have kept pushing their advantages. We come into this replay, we can just see it. The Shockwave changed this dynamic just completely. Huge amounts of damage, and part of that was because, well, item spikes had just come in for the side of the Hawks, so you have to play respectfully in that scenario as, oh no, it might be a collapse onto Ricky, but they're not going to be able to find anything because Vision saves lives, boys and girls. That's why you put that ward out, and you thank your support for doing so.
Yeah, Ricky does at least have, while they don't have a flash, they do at least have a very early investment into the Mercury tread, so very much expecting to receive a lot of crowd control up on that top side. They've kept themselves mostly safe for now. It's worth noting, though, that as of this moment, it's only Anko-chan on the Hawk side who hasn't taken a death so far.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've also been not really involved in the kills for the side of the Hawks. They assisted in one of them, but the rest of the time has kind of been the bot side doing a lot of that work. And obviously, they only just got an assist because of what happened in the mid lane. So It's not great for this jungler who normally has far more kill pressure in the lanes. They've played around, but if anything, I would argue Floor has had far more of an impact so far in this game.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question. Floor's been all over the place. I mean, in this case, I think the stats, lying a little bit, saying that on one assist, Floor's been creating these opportunities down the bottom lane very much successfully. Notable as well, the Burning Core, with that strength in the bottom side, they've got themselves the first Drake. We'll, of course, be looking for future Drakes. We can see in the mid tower, though, after that Herald push, is very low on health, so that's another objective to consider.
And not only that is, I think let's have a quick check-in on the CS department, because there's a large disparity in the top side. There is a small advantage that is being coming out in the jungle. There's about 10 CS in the jungle. There's about a 10 CS lane in the mid lane. There's about a 10 CS lane and a lead in the bot lane. Like, these small leads of 1-2 waves for the Hawks, very much keeping this gold advantage that they have. Even though they are down in kills, they're ahead in the gold, and that's why they're just playing around the map slightly better, picking up a bit more of the gold that's just on the map in general. And that's definitely going to help keep them not only in this game, but actually trying to find the next advantage. You've also got to think the amount of turret plating that the side of the Hawks have taken down. It's far more than anything that the Burning Core have. They've only got one for Burning Core on this bot side, whereas there's multiple plates everywhere.
Another attempt being made onto Akabuff there, going down very low. Does get taken out by Howler. Nice aggro juggling there as Peacock is the next attempt under the tower. Very bold play from the Hawks. It does pay off. Charlie gives their life across. Coming in from the side is going to be Reset City. Anko-chan pays the price for getting Howler into the game.
Yeah, it's a little awkward. Oh.
Looking for the stun, can't quite find it. Creative so fast on their feet, but Howler gets away. 2-1-2 now. At least they can boast a scoreline similar to Akabuff.
They can, absolutely. And it definitely assisted a little too deep there, and I'm surprised that they actually decided to try and go on to Peacock. I thought they would just give up. They got the AD carry, now Force. This is a Leona. At least let her W run out before you start doing anything onto her. I think the second half of it was running out when they started the engage, so I'm like a little bit sussed that maybe this Leona was a bit tankier than they should have been for a while longer. And the unfortunate thing for the side of the Hawks here is that Dragon's up. They're gonna not be able to stack it, which is something they definitely wanted to do.
Coming in from the side will be the surprise entrant to this battle royale in the pit. Floor is going to get taken out early on. No, Smite keeps them alive, and they're able to escape out for just a second. Ricky comes in, but won't be able to do too much. Shockwave catches 3. Howler coming in for cleanup duty because he Creative is so freaking strong. Anytime they're a part of a fight, it turns quickly.
That's a 4-for-1. Or maybe more.
Creative looking for the tower dive. Yellow Yoshi keeping the tower aggro for the time being. It looks like it won't be a kill ultimately, as Creative does go pretty low. But still, you're right. Burning Core, another big win. No, wait, I hold the phone. My map win is terrible because in comes the finishing blow from Floor.
Extended ace. I mean, multiple members have already come out, but extended ace from that one team fight that they went for. Yes, Hawks got the dragon. Yeah, they got the dragon. But they lost every single member and they only killed an Alistair, so that is a net negative. If I've ever heard one in my life, Creative is also just getting very far ahead to a scale, to a point that you would start becoming alarmed that a Viego is this far ahead. The thing is, Wasteland is landing these 3 or 4 man shockwaves continuously, but there's no follow-up. There's no one else that can really kind of help out, and the issue is he landed that after all their members were dead. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we've only got 2 of us. Maybe Aphelios can do something. Maybe Howler can do something. No, that's not how this has gone down. Even with, though, all of this coming out and there being a 6-kill lead over for the side of Burning Core, they're only just ahead in gold. They're only about 500 gold, which is just not much.
No, not at all. I mean, some of that has been Ricky doing some nice work on the top lane with the CS you mentioned before and the tower plating, as we do see the catch onto Yellow Yoshi. This time it's the Hawks locking down a unfortunate member, which will allow for a nice turn back onto the Rift Herald. without Burning Core having too much thoughts of contesting it.
Yeah, it's just what they do. They go, well, we lost something. Well, let's get something. We'll get a cannon. They did, though, also get that first turret for the Hawks. So even with Burning Core now mirroring it up in this bot side, it's kind of like, okay, well, we're still always playing a bit of catch up, because the first kind of objectives just always end up going in Burning Core. No.
Oh boy! All right, so let's do our reset. Now we've hit 16 minutes in. We've got a situation where the mid laner and the bottom laner of Burning Core both have got 4 kills apiece. But the gold remains relatively even so far. Same amount of Drakes, roughly the same amount of towers. Where do we go from here, Swan?
Absolutely. So we're going to be going and playing around the dragons and mid lane priority at the moment, because at the moment the Hawks actually have that prio. Wasteland has played this lane very well, and to a point that they actually were able to open it up. Remember, they used that first Rift Herald there. Hawks were able to open it up, and it's what allowed them to start playing around the map so much more. However, Burning Core were aware of this, and they've been actually more proactive around the map. And even at this point in time, just look at the gold leads that are coming out. Bot lane and mid lane are where all the priorities being spent. Creative about to tick over to 7k. Obviously, we see that Akka buff is way ahead and just completed his Duskblade. Like, this is where they wanted to throw their gold. There is a disparity, though, in this top side, and something we haven't mentioned is that Ricky has made Yellow Yoshi's life pretty unfun, to put it lightly.
Yeah, that's considering that Ricky's been taking a lot of pressure as well. But Swan, I want to kind of like to go back to the big picture, to talk about these next few team fights. You know, if you're Burning Core, you know you've got an incredibly strong creative, an incredibly strong Akka buff. How do you make the best use of that strength in these upcoming fights?
Oh, you just need to be playing around the objectives as effectively as you can, as they are just kind of ceding over minor advantage around the map. They know that Lee Sin was probably doing that, but they just didn't want to blind it because they don't have the power at this moment in time. Because yes, they are ahead. The problem is they don't have vision on all of their jungle, so they don't know where the enemy team is.
Yeah, I'm impressed that the Hawks are able to invade so much of Burning Core's territory given the circumstances. You talk about upcoming objectives, 30 seconds till the next Cloud Drake comes up. Of course, we are on the Cloud Rift, so that's all we'll be seeing from here on out. One of these two teams will start the path towards Cloud Soul.
One of these teams has got vision already, and the other one is more missing some of that and looking to try and get some, as we're seeing what the Hawks' vision is.
Creative will get caught out there, brought back into the team. They get deleted here. It's all going to be over. Burning Core, desperation maneuver. Nice slicing Maelstrom. Floor locks themselves in places. Creative is almost there, but almost is not good enough. Anko goes and gets the kill anyway. This is huge for the Hawks. They've got the positioning to go straight back to the Drake now, and they've also got themselves a kill, trading Charlie across.
Oh man, Hala must be wishing that they still had the old Aphelios ultimate range where they would have landed that one. It probably would have ended up being a triple kill for them, and the Hawks would have kept pushing forward. And this is why I've been bringing up this gold lead so many times for the side of the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks, because it's really important to understand that, yes, while Burning Core are doing really well in the kills department, it's never ballooned further than what the Hawks knew that they could come back from. And if anything, they didn't even have to come back. And this was with them, let's be real, playing this first team fight really badly. They get a lovely insect and then they just kick him away. They have to go so deep to make sure they kill Creative. Anko-chan pretty much in just no man's land, trying to find anything onto Creative. They do eventually get this kill and they get in and get out. And obviously they're looking for another one. They don't end up getting it, but they do end up getting that dragon. A lot of things, very small things that could have gone slightly better for the Hawks, and it would have probably led to an ace. And that's terrifying if you're Burning Core right now, because you're sitting in this game going, things went really bad for us. And they should have gone worse.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing what we were talking about before with the bullying of Yellow Yoshi by Ricky there. 1v1, their stats may not be that different in terms of kills and assists, but when it comes down to a duel, that Gnar is proving vastly the superior, will award the Hawks with tower number 4. Yeah,
Cannon is a champion that you either get ahead on and you make your absolute opponent's life a living nightmare, or you just become a team fighting champion. And I think this is where Yellow Yoshi is. He will be an incredible piece and an ace in the hole for Burning Core in a lot of these team fights. He will need to find the flank, and he will need to come around from somewhere in the back, land like a 2-3, preferably more man ultimate. The other thing is they have also got that stopwatch in. So now next time something crazy does happen, they've got the stopwatch. They're probably going to be building in the direction of a Zonya moving forward. So Yellow Yoshi has completed some items, has prevented some of the healing as well with that Oblivion Orb. Let's just see where the next team fight is played around, because I doubt it's going to be around this Baron buff, because neither of these teams have great Baron taking teams. The side of the Fukuoka Softbank Hawks is slightly better, especially if they have the right guns for this Aphelios, but you need Aphelios to be like 3 items down to really start chunking a Baron down with some quickness that would make other AD carries blush.
Yeah, I mean, right now, we're definitely seeing the teams considering their next option. So it's a wall off of this next dragon, and because both teams shared the first two dragons between them, we're also well off a realistic possibility of even getting it a Cloud Soul. So just pushing in every lane for the Hawks for now.
And that's a great point, Counterfeit. It's a Cloud Soul. Who cares? It's the lowest win rate soul in the game. It's not even a thing to like. It's like you win the game like 60% of the time when you get a Cloud Soul in comparison to like 80-90% of the other souls. Like, it's well and truly the worst soul for certain environments and certain compositions. And Hawks have a Gnar. Like, that Cloud Soul is actually doing nothing for Gnar because of once you hit 16 on Gnar, you're always ultimating. When you have your ultimate up, whenever you go Mega, you're always going to have it up. You can never not have it up. And they were looking at multiple champions on the side of Hawks, like, their ultimates aren't normally super long anyway, especially once you get to 16. I mean, yeah, it's slightly better for Burning Core, I would argue, but even then, it's only very slightly. This is not the soul that's really worth playing around, and I think Baron, honestly, is going to be the look that all these teams should be playing for.
Yeah, well, certainly if we can get, into confined spaces, all of this AoE, it's going to pay off real big, particularly for Yellow Yoshi. So, of course, we've got the AoE on both sides of the equation, the Shockwave as well. It'll be fascinating to see how these teams approach team fights to try and work around those big AoEs as Ricky slams the top lane tower down, while Burning Core, they're only just getting the tier 1 in mid.
Yeah, and that's a huge push by the... Oh!
Shock combo, crowd control will take down Anka-chan. No, the Guardian Angel keeps him alive for a few seconds more. They decide not to go back. They commit him fully for the fight. Nice double knock-up set up there for the whole of the Burning Core team. It's apparently reached 200 years because Wasteland and Howler, they're on the hunt. Akabuff being chased down the flash forward, but there's nothing more. The Hawks, wow, they refuse to back down.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't blame them. Why would you? You've got Gnar, you have an Alistair who's doing 2 to 4 man knockups depending on the scenario. You have all the years in your back pocket, and you've got the jungler. You've got Floor in this exchange, meaning that there is no Smite to be able to steal it here. Akabuff is nowhere near fed enough to be doing any crazy pulls away, and Floor is the only one. Guys, just do the Baron! There's only 2 of them!
I don't like this for the Hawks. We have got Alistair across the wall, but Howler's looking very low. Creative is a monster. No, it's a disaster for the Hawks.
They leashed it.
They stick around on low health, and the cleanup crew has arrived. Burning Core, with the Baron being taken, draw this game back almost dead even, just shy of 25 minutes. Hey, you were right about the Baron being the important objective.
Yeah, I will take it. I really don't understand why Hawks didn't just like try and burst it down. However, credit to Burning Core, right? They identified immediately. They got all the TPs down, and they were like, it was like a fire alarm was being called out. But coming into this replay, let's just talk about how this went perfectly from the Hawks and brilliant and not so well for Burning Core. The reason it didn't go so well is they used 2 ultimates to get Anko-chan, who they didn't even immediately burst because of that Guardian Angel, that proc. What's also important is that Shockwave pulled the cannon out, and yeah, okay, you killed Alistair. Who cares? Alistair is meant to be that chunky champion, and in actuality, the Alistair doesn't even die because they just go Zonya and they go, oh, well, we can just push forward. They leash around, and they need to start on this Baron immediately, which is exactly what they do. They try and use as much damage, and guess what? Alistair's going to play the front line. They're going the wrong way because they don't expect TPs to come out. And, well, Alistair's still around the back, not with the rest of the team. So then when the rest of the team will die and he flashes away, it looks really silly. Yeah. There's a lot less to be desired about that engage and play from Burning Core at the end of that, and there's a lot to be desired from the side of the Hawks, but it started the opposite way around. So both these teams winning, both these teams throwing. Just one of these teams ended with a Baron at the end and the others didn't. So, yeah.
That's what we're here for an Academy. It's the growth potential
of
these teams. Yeah, they're making the mistakes here and now. I guess they don't have to make them later on. They'll definitely be replaying that one more than a few times over on the Hawks side of things, trying to examine that decision making. With Burning Core, the only decision is to push down mid, down bottom. They're looking to bring back some of the standing gold and maybe open up an inhibitor while they're here.
I mean, they should definitely be looking to try and recover and even up these turret count. They're one down at the moment. I think there's a good chance that they'll be able to secure one up. I mean, there's a good chance that Ricky doesn't really want to go too much on creative because he's doing rather well, especially with Floor around the side just poking constantly. But it doesn't seem like this turret is going to be done. I would love to have seen someone from the side of Burning Core try and go top side with this Baron buff to at least try and push this top side so they could at least be pincering in with a 1-3-1 composition. Floor with creative doing this bot side and someone doing this top side. It makes getting one of these two turrets 10 times easier. It does seem like, though, with this cannon minion, it's going to be very low. No. Oh, okay, well. Next time, they'll get it on the next push. I
mean, you look at the CS stats for Ricky there. It's been absolute tank for the Hawks team in making sure they keep themselves pushed up in the whichever lane this Gnar ends up in. The Burning Core seem to be very aware of this. They're bringing the numbers down. The bear on this bottom lane. We know the Hawks do not have good vision.
5v5.
Creative lurking in the shadows that will be running out soon as Ricky fakes us out for a second there, trying to make it eke out for Burning Core. He's going to make a play, which does at least scare Burning Core enough that they back off immediately.
Oh, Anchor-chan! We get so many frames per second. We're through a stream, sir. I can't even imagine how quick that was on their screen. They're just like boom, boom, just back and forth. God, showing confidence. Because if they're not confident in their ability to jump or ward jump afterwards, that could have been very awkward. But they get out. They don't go for it. Net advantage currently in Burning Core's direction, but this game is still so close that what I am happy to say is Counterfeit. If one of these teams makes a catastrophic decision and everything goes bad, we're getting to 30 minutes, and this is territory where you can start looking to just end the game in one huge push. This is teamfight territory. We're 4 dragons down. We're a Baron 1 minute 30 away, and I wouldn't be too surprised if over the next 10 minutes that one of these teams finds the perfect team fight. And we've seen 3-4 members go down, just death timers come up and it allows them to collapse around. That's what happened for Burning Core, remember? That's how they got that Baron buff, because death timers are so short. That's not always going to be the case in the next few team fights.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on 30 minutes. Most of the games here in the LJL Academy have not gone much longer than this in their totality. So, Swan, it's a fairly safe bet, I think. We've got to see something big happen. I think you're right. Yeah, we're not even necessarily in the territory where we'll even get to the possibility of the Cloud Soul, but it's still vision being acquired by Burning Core because they've done some very good work before when the Hawks cannot see them coming.
Bit of a poke out from there. Aka buff definitely finding the options with this Varus with the angles, and hey, that's what you need to do. You need to get onto Charlie. He's going to be their front line if they have no front liner. If it's all on this little Gnar, it could be pretty difficult even with him going mega.
We can see the Hawks, they've pushed up to the tower, which is low on health already thanks to the Herald managing to make it in there a little while ago. But yeah, I think with all that poke onto Charlie, they're going to fall back for the time being. Maybe looking to get into the flank of Burning Core as we don't have many towers left in the mid lane to be threatened. Of course, inhibitors are always up for grabs.
And when these bases do get cracked, it's going to probably slowly start favoring the team that do get this. Creative is going to just solo do this, even though he's not the jungler. But I actually really like this because it just kind of you get the impression, if you are the Hawks, that they're just resetting that floor, that creative reset. And the fact is, actually, he's been doing this dragon. Now that they get that information, they're going to start bursting it down. And now the Burning Core need to find the opportunity.
This was a disaster last time round for the Hawks. This time, they make the mega commit in. Yellow Yoshi avoids getting caught up. The nice Chains of Corruption in from far from Akabuff. It's a double kill in for the Diana. Burning Core are cleaning up. It's 2 for 2. The Poison Baron brings down the Hawks, and they don't even live to regret it. As Ricky, the last Yordle standing, desperately tries to escape under the tower. It's going to be a tower dive, I think, from floor. No, it's not a complete ace, but it is still the inhibitor.
They're going to end here with one member up. Death time is longer than 20 seconds. Why would you stop? Why would you not keep going? And I think they're going to get it here.
Oh my lord! So the Baron wasn't even taken, and Burning Core still upset the apple cart. The Hawks, the same mistake 2 times in a row. That's enough to get knocked down.
This was something I mentioned. I'm so pleased I did this. Look at me. What a performance for Burning Core. I mentioned that death timers are getting a bit longer, and that both these teams are one and done teams. They're not one team that's going to control and really try and out macro like we saw with that previous game between V3 Sports and Crest Gaming Act. They want to just end. They are done fighting. It's pretty messy for them sometimes, but they found the angle. And that's the most important part. Burning Core collapse. I'm sorry, Counterfeit. Hawks for life. Well, not maybe for today, but depending on how Tiebreaker goes and that Detonation Focus Me match, we're pulling for a Sengoku win, I think, now for you.
Oh boy, it's really tough when you're really behind a team and they do something like, don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do the same mistake.
It was the Meganar at the end, really. Like we could blame it all on Ricky just accidentally jumping a bit too far forward. Not really. Nah.
It's wild to think that. So we had the same situation we're saying up there, where theoretically the Hawks could have taken Baron both of those times.
Yeah.
Both times they pulled off a Baron to try and make the play. And as we saw, that did not work at all. To have the entire game spin that way, that was a heartbreaker.
Oh, but this Diana ultimate was so picture perfect. And I was memeing on Ricky there, ladies and gentlemen. Like, him missing an ultimate there doesn't change it, because honestly, Burning Core chained their ultimates, chained the CC just perfectly every time. Really, like, you have to just give them credit for that, because, like, the Kennen ultimate was over about 4 members. Diana hit 3 ultimates with it. What more can you ask for? Nothing. They got the W. Burning Core waiting to see where they'll end up in that standings.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that was very much an earned win. As you said, for those standings, we do need to wait out on some final results, and the final match of the regular season is coming up. Detonation Focus Me Academy versus Sengoku Academy to end us out. It's been a huge ride all the way through the regular season, of course. This last game will be followed on Wednesday by the start of the playoff stages, but you do not want to miss. Coming up, DFM, Sengoku, last game after the break.